There is a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot fix. It is the weariness that settles into your bones when you have done everything right and still nothing has moved. You have shown up when you did not feel like showing up. You have stayed faithful when faithfulness felt foolish. You have waited with your hands open and still they remain empty. And I want you to know, before we go any further, that I see you. Not in some mystical way, but in the way that one human being recognizes another who is walking through something heavy. Because I have been where you are standing right now. I have sat in rooms where my name was passed over. I have watched opportunities go to people who seemed less prepared, less invested, less committed. I have felt the sting of being invisible to the very people I thought would celebrate me. And if that is where you find yourself today, I need you to hear something. Your waiting has not been wasted. Your silence has not been emptiness. Something has been happening beneath the surface of your circumstances, even when you could not feel it moving. You see, we live in a world that celebrates noise. We are trained to believe that if something is not happening loudly, it is not happening at all. But that is not how God works. That is not how seeds grow. That is not how foundations are laid. The most important things in your life are often built in the quiet, in the unseen, in the spaces where nobody is watching. And I believe with everything in me that your season of hiddenness is coming to an end. Not because I can predict the future, not because I have some special insight into the heavens, but because I have watched this pattern unfold in Scripture, in history, and in the lives of people I have walked alongside for decades. When things seem most stuck, breakthrough is often closest. Let me take you to a moment in the book of Exodus that I have been meditating on. The Israelites had just been released from Egypt. After 400 years of slavery, after generations of crying out, they were finally free. Can you imagine the relief? Can you imagine the exhaustion mixed with hope? They had witnessed plagues and wonders. They had packed their belongings and walked out of bondage. And then, just when they thought the struggle was behind them, Pharaoh changed his mind. The man who had finally let them go decided to chase them down. He gathered his army, his chariots, his horses, and he pursued them with every intention of dragging them back into captivity. Now, if you had been standing on that shoreline, watching the dust rise from the approaching army, what would you have felt? Fear, probably. Betrayal, maybe. That sinking feeling that says, this is what always happens to you. Every time you get close to freedom, something pulls you back. Every time you think you are about to step into something new, the old patterns catch up with you. But here is what the Israelites could not see from where they were standing. Pharaoh's decision to pursue them was not a setback. It was the setup for the greatest miracle they would ever witness. His change of mind was not a threat to their future. It was the catalyst for their deliverance. Because when Pharaoh chased them to the edge of the Red Sea, he positioned himself perfectly for his own destruction. The very water that parted for the Israelites closed over his army. What he intended as a final act of control became the final chapter of his reign. And I wonder if there is someone in your life who has recently changed their mind about you. Maybe it is a supervisor who seemed supportive and then suddenly withdrew their backing. Maybe it is a friend who was in your corner and then walked away without explanation. Maybe it is a system, a process, an institution that appeared to be moving in your favor and then stopped cold. I want to offer you a different way of seeing this. What if their shift is not your setback? What if the very thing that feels like opposition is actually the beginning of your breakthrough? I am not saying this to minimize your pain. I am not saying this to rush you past your disappointment. I know how it feels when someone you trusted pulls away. I know the confusion of watching a door close that you thought God Himself had opened. But I have learned, sometimes the hard way, that God's hand is often most active in the moments that feel most abandoned. There is a verse in Exodus chapter 14 that has carried me through some of my darkest seasons. Moses told the people, that the Lord would fight for them, and they need only to be still. Now, I used to read that verse and think it was about passivity. I thought being still meant doing nothing, just sitting back and waiting for rescue. But the older I get, the more I understand that being still is one of the most active things you can do. It takes tremendous strength to not react when you are being attacked. It takes deep faith to not chase after people who have walked away from you. It takes spiritual maturity to trust that God is working even when you cannot trace His hand. Being still does not mean you are weak. It means you are rooted in something stronger than your circumstances. So if you have been tempted to beg someone to reconsider, if you have been drafting messages you have not sent, if you have been rehearsing conversations in your mind, trying to figure out how to win someone back, let me offer you a different invitation. What if you did not have to fight this battle? What if the energy you have been spending on defending yourself could be redirected toward building yourself? What if the people who have turned away from you are not your assignment to change? Because here is what I have observed in my own life and in the lives of countless others. When God is ready to elevate you, He often removes certain people from your path first. Not because those people are evil, not because they are your enemies, but because the next season of your life requires a different kind of support. Sometimes people leave not because they stopped caring, but because they cannot go where you are going. Their capacity has limits. Their vision has boundaries. And if they stayed attached to you, they would either hold you back or be dragged into a place they are not prepared for. So their departure, as painful as it is, may actually be a form of protection for them and for you. I want to share something with you that I do not say lightly. I believe there is an acceleration coming in your life. Not because I have received some supernatural vision, but because I recognize the signs of a setup. When you have done the work, when you have remained faithful under pressure, when you have kept your heart soft, even when bitterness would have been justified, when you have continued to pray, even when your prayers felt like they were hitting the ceiling, these are not signs of wasted effort. These are signs of preparation. God does not waste your formation. He does not allow you to go through difficulty just to abandon you at the edge of your breakthrough. Every skill you have developed in the waiting, every layer of character you have built through the struggle, every tear you have shed in the midnight hour, these are investments in your future. And investments, by their very nature, are designed to pay dividends. Now, I need to be careful here, because I am not promising you a specific outcome. I am not telling you that next Tuesday at 3 o'clock your life will transform. That is not how faith works. That is not how God works. What I am telling you is that there is a principle woven into the fabric of the universe. Seeds that are planted in good soil, watered with patience, and protected by faith, will eventually produce a harvest. The timing is not in your hands. The method is not in your hands. But the faithfulness of the one who promised is absolutely certain. And if you have been planting, if you have been watering, if you have been waiting with open hands and a trusting heart, then I want to encourage you to keep your eyes open. Because the shift can happen suddenly. One conversation, one email, one phone call, one unexpected connection, and everything you have been believing for begins to materialize. I have seen it happen too many times to doubt it. People who were overlooked for years suddenly get recognized. Projects that were rejected everywhere suddenly find the right door. Relationships that seemed impossible suddenly become reality. And in almost every case, the person who experienced the breakthrough will tell you they did not see it coming. It felt sudden. It felt unexpected. It felt almost too good to be true. But when they looked back, they could trace the hand of God in every delay, every rejection, every closed door. Because God was not abandoning them. He was positioning them. So if you are in a season of positioning right now, I want to speak directly to your spirit. Do not grow bitter. Bitterness will poison the very blessing you are waiting for. Do not grow cynical. Cynicism will blind you to the opportunities that are right in front of you. Do not give up on people entirely, just because some people have disappointed you. Your capacity to trust will be essential in the next chapter of your story. And do not give up on yourself. I know you have made mistakes. I know there are things in your past that you are not proud of. I know there are moments when you wonder if you have disqualified yourself from the goodness of God. But I need you to hear me clearly. You are not defined by your worst moments. You are not limited by your biggest failures. You are not the person your critics say you are. You are who God says you are. And He says you are beloved. He says you are chosen. He says you are being prepared for something that will require everything you have learned in this difficult season. I think about Joseph sometimes, sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and thrown into prison, forgotten by the very people he helped. From a human perspective, his life was a series of disappointments. But from God's perspective, every setback was a setup. Every betrayal was positioning. Every prison was preparation. And when the moment of elevation came, it came suddenly. Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister in a single day. Not because he had earned it through human merit alone, but because he had been faithful in the small things, the hidden things, the thankless things. And when the door finally opened, he was ready to walk through it. I believe some of you are in your prison season right now. Not a literal prison, but a place of confinement. A place where you feel stuck. A place where your gifts are not being used. A place where your potential is being overlooked. And I want you to know that your prison has an expiration date. It is not your permanent address. It is your temporary classroom. And when you graduate from this season, you will carry wisdom that cannot be taught any other way. You will have a depth that shallow living could never produce. You will have a testimony that will unlock doors for people who are still stuck where you used to be. So, do not despise your current circumstances. Learn from them. Grow through them. Let them shape you without letting them define you. Because the same God who was with Joseph in the pit is with you right now. The same God who was with the Israelites at the edge of the sea is holding you in this moment. And He has not forgotten His promises over your life. I want to close with something that has been on my heart. If you have been carrying anxiety about someone who has changed their mind about you, I want to invite you to release it. Not because that person does not matter. Not because the situation is not serious, but because carrying it is not your job. There is a peace that passes understanding. A peace that does not depend on your circumstances lining up perfectly. A peace that settles into your spirit when you finally let go of trying to control what only God can control. And I believe that peace is available to you right now, if you will receive it. You do not have to figure out how everything is going to work out. You just have to trust the one who holds all the answers. And that trust, that surrender, that quiet confidence in the goodness of God, that is where your breakthrough begins. Not in striving, not in fighting, not in chasing, but in resting. Resting in the knowledge that you are held. Resting in the assurance that you are seen. Resting in the promise that your story is not over. And if this message has meant something to you today, if it has touched a place in your heart that needed touching, I want to invite you to do something simple. Leave a word of faith in the comments. Not because it will earn you anything, not because there is some spiritual formula attached to it, but because sometimes speaking your faith out loud helps you remember what you believe. And if you have found encouragement here, consider subscribing to the Angels Decode channel so we can continue walking together. Not because I have all the answers, but because none of us were meant to walk this journey alone. Thank you for giving me your time today. Thank you for trusting me with your attention. And thank you for being willing to believe that God is still working, even when the evidence is hard to see. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Your restoration is on the way. and the very things that have been withheld from you are about to be released in ways that will take your breath away. Not because you earned it, not because you are perfect, but because the one who called you is faithful to complete what he started. Rest in that today, and let everything else go.